Welcome to Let's Build Something. Today we're going to build a pair of mallets. So I need a couple of mallets to help with woodworking as well as leatherworking. So I want to make one mallet with a really long handle for wood and the other mallet with a shorter handle for the leather. These are going to be made out of white oak and walnut, and I don't have any boards as thick as I need them to be, so I'm going to go ahead and laminate two boards together to thicken them up. I'm going to run these through the table saw to clean up the edges, but as you can see it's very uneven and I don't want an uneven cut. So the way I'm going to get around that is putting a flat piece by the fence and running it through that way. I wouldn't recommend a beginner do something like this because there is always the chance that something can go wrong, but I think it'll be okay. So I'm going to run these through the planer on their edge like so. It's probably not necessary if you want to make this. I'm just doing it as an extra precaution to make sure these are totally flat. My planer has a really handy stop, so I went ahead and set that to 1 inch. Next, I cut the tenons out of the handles on the bandsaw. Then I cut the boards for the head. Next, I cut the mortises. Basically what I've done is cut at a 10-degree angle, well 5-degree angle really, just a little mortise in there, and then the other block of walnut will go like that, and we'll have a little mortise for the tenon to go into. What I've done on this block is mark out the inch in the center. The tenon going through here is going to be 1 inch thick, so it needs to be 1 inch at the bottom. These are going to be wedge tenons, so we have an angle here and the bottom needs to be at 1 inch. So let's get this glued up. I'm going to add some salt so that they don't move around, and then I'm going to drive a brad nail through it close to the center because we're not going to be cutting that close. So I can shoot a brad nail through and pretty much be done with it and just wait for the glue to dry. Now I should mention, I'm not doing the brad nails for clamping pressure. I'm doing the brad nails just to hold them in place. So that I can get the next piece glued on. Now I need to do the next one. So the glue ups on the heads turned out pretty great. So now we're just going to clean them up on our disc sander, and then we should be about ready to put it all together. So now that these guys are nice and cleaned up, I need to start working on the handles. So basically what I need to do is cut a line through this for the wedge to go into, and then I need to drill a hole down here at the base. And the reason I needed to do that, when driving the wedge, that'll help from the whole handle splitting. If there's a little relief hole here, it won't split all the way down. So now it's time to turn these handles, and before we get started I want to say that I'm not an expert at turning on the lathe. I've only done it once before, and it was in preparation for doing these handles. So with that ringing endorsement, let's get started.
My dad used to say, do as I say, not as I do. You should really wear a full face shield when turning, and I'm about to show you why. That hit me square in the forehead. Now, I recorded this back in March, and that was when we were deep into our lockdown, and getting a face mask was nearly impossible, as they are all being prioritized to medical facilities. So I was happy to take that plank in the face so a doctor and nurse could save someone. But once I was able to get a face shield, I did. Once I was happy with the thickness, I added some design cuts.
So I did two different things, and I'd like to show you what they are. So this one is oak, and it will be used for woodworking. So I gave myself a big long handle in order to get more leverage in case I really need to beat down on a chisel. This one's going to be used for leather working, so I didn't need all of that, so I made a smaller handle. Now we need to connect these to their heads.
Before gluing, I need to make the wedges. One out of oak and one out of walnut, with a 10-degree angle. Now that I'm ready to glue, I used blue tape to help with squeeze out. Then I glued the handle to the head, and drove in the wedge. Then repeated the process for the next mallet.
Now that both of these are glued up, it's time to finish them off. Need to cut the tenon flush on both of them, sand them,
and add some finishing touches. I made a simple filler with 5-minute epoxy and sawdust, and filled in the voids. Then I spent a lot of time sanding. Then I finally applied 2 coats of Danish oil. This build is finished, so let's talk about mistakes. And the only mistake I really made is the mistake I make in all of my builds when I'm having some sort of joinery, and my tolerances are too sloppy. I need to get much better at tightening up my joinery. Thank you all for watching this video. It's a very simple way to make some mallets for woodworking or leatherwork, or anything you need a mallet for. If you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you would hit the like button, and I'd also love to hear what you thought about this build in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Happy holidays. Have a good day.